I'm the Mad Fanatic, and I want to tell you why the Denver Broncos should not draft a quarterback in the 2021 NFL Draft.
Drew Lock, dog, that's my quarterback. Let's go! Drew Lock, dog, that's my quarterback. That's my QB. Drew Lock, dog, that's my quarterback. That's my guy. Drew Lock, dog, that's my quarterback.
Everybody knows how I feel about Drew Lock. I know a lot of people are down on Drew Lock. A lot of people are doing this corny hashtag unlocked, saying that they're basically done with him. But I think it's foolish to be done with Drew Lock at this point in his career because, number one, you're not factoring in all the things that took place last season. And I know there's going to be those Bronco fans that say I'm making excuses, but there's a difference between excuses and legitimate reasons, so let's get into them. Top 3 reasons why we should throw out everything bad that Drew Lock did this past NFL season. Number 1, he didn't have an offseason. That's a huge deal. Not just Drew Lock, the entire Denver Broncos didn't have an offseason because of COVID. Now, I know what you're thinking. So what? A lot of teams didn't have an offseason, man. Who was installing a new offense with a borderline rookie at quarterback and not having an offseason to learn it? That's a huge deal. People don't want to tell me about Joe Burrow, who's a number 1 overall pick who played 4 years at LSU, damn near NFL ready, in an NFL system, coming into a team that already had their offense installed the year before. They had the same offense already. So at least everybody around him knows the offense. And by the way, he didn't do that good. He won how many games? Justin Herbert is a guy who came in, another high first-round draft pick, who's known for how smart he is, how quickly he can read defenses and process information and pick up playbooks. That's his skill set. And his whole offense already knows the offense. And by the way, he also won how many games? He should have lost both games. Drew Lock, he let how many teams come back on him because he stopped scoring points in the second half? And Justin Herbert is not that guy either. I'm not blown away by them, and I don't care what they did. Like I said, at all the pieces around them, they weren't learning a new offense, just him. That's a huge difference. So the fact that the Denver Broncos and Drew Lock did not have an offseason or preseason, they had virtual practices to figure out what the hell this whole new system is, I think it's a big deal, especially for a guy like Drew Lock, because Drew Lock is not a top 5 NFL pick. Drew Lock is a mid-second rounder who you knew needed time to develop because he wasn't coming from a pro-style system where he's taking snaps under center, where the play calling is double hot banana, YXZ, blah, 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 go, sluggo. He wasn't doing that crazy play calling. His plays were like 4. That was the name of the play, 4. You know what I'm saying? It's a huge, huge jump. His rookie year, they expected him to take a long time. He sat on the bench all season, 3/4 of the season. He had a preseason, he had an offseason, and he came in, and he looked great. He beat Deshaun Watson, beat the brakes off him, actually, and that was a playoff-led Houston Texans team that was 8-4 at the time, I believe. They went on to win a playoff game. Drew Lock whooped that ass on the road and looked like the guy. He went 4-1, and then they fired his offensive coordinator. He's got to learn a whole new NFL system again, which was already super hard for him, right? So throw out that season because of the offense. Second reason you got to throw that out. He doesn't have his number 1 receiver. That's not a little deal either. That's a huge deal. And for those that say it's not a huge deal, it doesn't make a big difference. First of all, you got to factor in who are his other receivers. Rookies who didn't have an off-season. Not an off-season to get chemistry with him, not an off-season to learn the playbook your damn self. You're talking about 2 rookies, first time in the NFL, first time going against this level of competition, learning on the fly with no preseason, virtual practices and all that. Those are his other receivers. Now, his number 1 receiver is a big dog number 1 receiver. He's a guy that's going to be a Pro Bowler every year, right, that he's healthy. Good enough to make you say, yeah, we don't need Demaryius Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders because Courtland Sutton is to that. And for the people to think that having a number 1 receiver doesn't make a big difference, I say Exhibit A, Josh Allen, who I think Drew Lock can be the next Josh Allen. I think he has that kind of potential. Josh Allen before Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen post Stephon Diggs. You see 2 different guys. You see a guy that people are like, I don't know, he might not never be the guy. And then you see a guy that they're like, he's top 5 in the NFL. Jump like 17 touchdowns in one season to the next. It makes a difference. So that's the second reason. The third reason, offensive line. Now, I'm not one that bashes the offensive line and thinks the Denver Broncos offensive line was terrible, because they weren't terrible. But having a center who's a rookie, who didn't have an offseason, who's like a 3rd-round pick, who Pro Football Focus rated the worst starting center in the entire NFL, be the guy protecting you up the middle and handing you the ball every snap? That's kind of a big deal. Having your starting right tackle, who's the highest paid offensive lineman on your team, I believe, having him opt out and not play the whole season, that's a huge deal. Exhibit A, Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, outside of the Super Bowl, looks like he might one day be better than Peyton Manning, which is crazy talk because Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback of all time, and I don't care what Tom Brady did. Tom Brady is, he's up there. He's 1B. He's right there. He's sniffing. He's scratching for that spot, but he ain't getting it. And this ain't that video. The point is, Patrick Mahomes is that guy. But in the Super Bowl, he didn't have his tackles. He was missing 2 offensive linemen, a left tackle and a right tackle, and he was overwhelmed the whole game. He went 3 quarters without getting 100 yards. It made a huge difference. So for me, when Drew Lock is, never mind all the injuries on defense, all the other issues with play calling and everything else, the injury, which set him back, not allowing him to learn and be in the film room, the suspension for coming in without the mask on his off day to watch film. Also, he's got to be away from this facility for a couple more weeks because of that. Those are all huge deals that already set you back when you're already behind the 8 ball because you didn't have an offseason and you were supposed to be learning a brand new system with a bunch of rookies who are also learning the system with you with all the same circumstances stacked up against them. Those are all 3 very, 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 very big reasons you could throw out everything that happened last season and just be encouraged by what he did in the first 5 games, and also be encouraged by the good stuff that he did last season. The comeback against San Diego was a big deal. You're down 24-3 and you don't shrink up. Instead, you rise to the occasion and you go down the field and you score a game-winning touchdown. That's a big deal, and it cannot be overstated how much that showed me about Drew Lock. The game against the Panthers, who are not the worst defense in the NFL, they're better. Their pass defense is better than 18 teams in the NFL. 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, and I got people saying, oh, but the wide receivers are wide open. But there was a dude, an former NFL quarterback who does film breakdown, who coaches quarterbacks, who's like, bro, they're wide open because he's learning eye manipulation. He was able to finally learn how to look off them safeties and create extra space for KJ Hamler down the field and Jerry Jeudy. And he's showing improvements as he's going. He's not thinking so much about what the play is, and he's able to focus on the nuanced things about football, like looking off safeties. When you're trying to remember the plays, where this guy go, where's my check, where's my hot route, that makes it really hard to do the other things, to worry about your footwork, to worry about your eyes. I expect him to be much better as he gets a real grasp of this offense, and I'm looking forward to see what he does next year. And there's more stuff. That 149.5 rating against Oakland is a big deal. The Denver Broncos should not draft a quarterback. You got Drew Lock playing on a rookie deal as a mid-second rounder, so he's cheap, and we've only seen him play 16 games. I believe he's 8-8 right now. That's not the time to give up on him and say, no, he'll never be good. But I want to get into why we should not draft one of these quarterbacks in the upcoming draft. Who we got for quarterbacks that the Broncos should even consider? Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be gone number 1 overall. And in my opinion, he's the only one that's NFL ready, coming out day 1. He's like, yo, that's a franchise quarterback. He's the only one that looks like a surefire franchise quarterback to me in this draft. The second best quarterback in this draft, in my opinion, is Justin Fields. Justin Fields is dope. I like Justin Fields. I really do. I'm not even going to penalize him for the Northwestern game where he couldn't get nothing off because Northwestern clearly game planned to stop the pass. They said, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us on the ground. And that's exactly what happened because my mans ran for 340 yards on the ground and they beat him on the ground. So I'm not going to penalize them for not having success in the air when they game planned to stop you from doing that. The Alabama game, though, he struggled against Alabama. Let's just call it what it was. I think 12 gauge a few years back was a more polished passer coming out, and he fizzled out. Ohio State quarterbacks have never been good in the NFL so far. Now, he could be the guy that changes everything for them. His ceiling is probably Cam Newton. He really could be special. He could be special. But it's probably just as likely, if not more likely, that he turns into the next Terrell Pryor. So, am I going to trade up to go get Justin Fields? No. If Justin Fields drops to us, falls in our laps at 9, we got to ask ourselves why 5-6 other teams took other quarterbacks instead of Justin Fields, number 1. And number 2, we still got to say, I don't know, man. Is he definitely better than Drew Lock coming out of college? I don't think so. Drew Lock would have went number 2 overall this year if he came out this year. So I'd pass on Justin Fields. Zach Wilson, he reminds me of Drew Lock coming out of college a lot. And maybe if we were in the mix for Zach Wilson, maybe I consider it. But like I said, to me, you're trading one guy for a guy that looks like the same guy. It's not really an upgrade. And like, we're probably not gonna have a chance at him. He's probably gonna go number 2 overall, so we can get that out of here. Trey Lance, he plays for the Bisons, bro. I'm not drafting a quarterback. I'm damn sure not trading up for him. But even if he falls to us at 9, I'm not getting a quarterback, a top 10 pick, who plays for the Bisons. Unless he scored 57 touchdowns, 0 picks, and another 12 on the ground. Like, unless he did some crazy stuff against that lesser competition. Because the truth is, he probably played like 3 guys total that are going to the NFL. Total. I'm not drafting Trey Lance. And the people saying, go get Trey Lance because he watched his highlights against Central Arkansas, have lost their mind. All right? So that's how I feel about the quarterbacks. And I don't feel like any of them are worth moving on from Drew Lock. I still think Drew Lock, you got him cheap. You know what I mean? You got a mid-second round pick on a rookie deal who has shown promise, who, yeah, he had a lot to overcome last season. He didn't look great. I'll keep it 100 with you. But I think he had enough legitimate reasons to not look great that he should be given some grace and be given a little bit more rope. I mean, Vic Fangio is getting how many years of rope, still not knowing what to do with the time management at the end of the games, still taking his foot off the gas against the Chiefs. We're still giving him years. The head coach, right? But you want to move on from Drew Lock, a day 2 guy that you knew would take time to develop because he couldn't go out there and ball without his number 1 receiver and right tackle and a rookie center and 2 rookie receivers. It's ridiculous. No offseason to learn a new system. Get out of here with that nonsense. Imagine if the Buffalo Bills just said, nah, Josh Allen will never be that guy, and they just moved on. The year before, he got his number 1 receiver and got 17 more touchdowns and looks like a top 5 NFL quarterback. It takes these guys, some guys, time. And Josh Allen, by the way, is an early first-round pick. He's not a day 2 pick that you knew was supposed to take time. That's the crazy thing. Drew Lock came in year 1, and you know he's not even starting. You're like, yo, he's going to be on the bench. Joe Flacco is going to be the starter. It wasn't even a debate. Nobody thought Drew Lock is going to be the guy day 1. Nobody. And then he looks good for 5 games. You fire his coordinator. He's got a new offseason, a new offense to learn, in an offseason where he can't actually practice or go to a facility or meet with these rookie receivers and learn the offense. And people are really like expecting him to be great. And then he gets injured like week 2 or 3, and he's set back then. It's like so many things working against him. The suspension, the court, come on, man. It's too much to say, yo, he's just not good. Drew Lock is trash. Hashtag unlocked. Sidebar, you Bronco fans with the hashtag unlocked, you're clowns, yo. You're cornballs. And that's what all do love. I like some of y'all. We cool. It is what it is. I feel away if you repping Bronco gang and you're on that unlocked stuff. I kind of am looking at you side-eye and saying, what kind of fan are you, man? You're not really supporting your guy. That's not what we're supposed to represent. We support our guys. I mean, I got songs about Trevor Siemian. I got songs about Tim Tebow. I support whoever's back there. I'd have a song about Joe Flacco when he played for the Ravens.
Flacco, that Raven roster looking thin, is looking Flacco. The chance that they get in this win is looking Flacco. I see your quarterback and grand because he's Flacco. And he don't scare nobody because he's Flacco.
But outside of Joe Flacco, and I took it down. I made it private the year he was our quarterback because I don't diss our quarterbacks. I support whoever they put out there. But I am praying that the Broncos ride with Drew Lock 1 more year and give us an opportunity to see if he's the guy or not. That's what I would do. If I'm the Denver Broncos, I'm drafting a speedy linebacker. What say you? Let me know in the comments. Also, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell thing. Yeah, keep repping, and thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Go Broncos, and shout out to the gang.